comfortable with putting yourself in positions that make people think about you and remember you. So tell me what's happened with these. I mean, because I don't see one specific agent. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 7 referrals from 7 different realtors. That is impressive. It's not like one realtor just gave you 7 leads.
Right. Yeah. Let me get mine
amazing.
pulled up. Hold on. Yeah. Let me see. I'm sorry, I didn't have it pulled up yet.
That's okay. Take your time, no rush. We've got a Tom. You know what? Here, I'm going to do this. Does everybody have their computer screen up and running?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen.
Oh, okay.
So this is Kat. This is Kat. Yeah, it'll be easier. So yeah, I mean, I see Bruce, Amber, Alexander. Is there a reason why you don't have last names?
Because I haven't, well, I don't know, with Bruce, I didn't get his last name. I spoke with him, but he just wanted to ask me a million questions and didn't want to give me any of his information yet. But he said that he will definitely be calling me when he's ready. So
Okay.
I was able to answer a lot of questions for him. So I think that, and we set up a good, rapport. And I asked him, if while he's thinking about buying, he's going to come in contact with other people that he's talking to please pass my name along, because I would love to be able to help any of his friends that are in a similar situation.
Now here's the $1 million question. Before you started answering all of his questions, did you set the stage?
Set the stage.
Did you and I apologize because sometimes I can't remember, because I do 15 of these classes a week, so sometimes I forget what I say to one class versus the next. Did you set the stage in the sense of, Mr. Bruce, I would love to help answer all of your questions, but I think it's imperative that you know who's on this end of the telephone in order for you to understand why I do what I do, and provide you with the information that I do. I want to make sure you're understanding of, how we got connected and how meaningful it is to me.
No, a little bit, but not that well.
Okay, so here's, and this is a kind of a rehash of what I talked earlier in the week about to some people. When we're in the business of helping other people, we know that we have to be a giver with a request. And you made the request, which was fantastic. I like to think that before you start giving away the slices of bread, that the person that you're about to talk to hears and then listens to what you're about. Because when you make the request after you've given them all the information, there wasn't a pretense for the reason in which you're giving them the information. See, the pretense is, you know what, Kat and Bruce, I am honored that Tom Marchant gave you my name and number, and I would love to help you out. But before we get into those details, I would just like to take a second and tell you a little bit about me, because I think it's important, because as we talk more, I'm going to learn a lot about you, and I think you should probably know some things about me to understand, where I come from. So Tom is a dear friend of mine, and he's somebody who obviously trusts me emphatically. That's why he gave you my name and number. My ultimate goal in today's call isn't really to give you a mortgage, but really to help answer the questions and to help clarify some things that you are trying to figure out, in hopes that you're going to make a better or more informed decision on what your options are. All I ask is that as we go through that process, whether we choose to work together or not, if I never talk to you again or we end up talking again, I have to ask you for one small favor, and that is that when we're done talking, that you go back to Tom and say thank you, because I believe that my relationship with Tom is the primary focus of my conversation with you today. So everything I tell you and everything that I'm going to provide to you is really just a way that I amplify my relationship with Tom by helping amplify the relationship that you and he have. Is that fair?
That's awesome.
So the reality is that before you give it away, you kind of have to set the stage appropriately, because after the meeting is over and you find out that all he's asking is questions, at least you've got him to commit to the idea that he's going to go back to Tom and say thank you, which at the end of the day, regardless of whether you do the loan or not, you amplify the relationship between Bruce and Tom. And then by doing so, whether you get a closing out of it or not, you've now amplified your relationship with Tom. But in the event that you don't set the pretense for it, Bruce gets what he needs, and like a thief in the night, says whatever he has to say to get off the telephone and then runs away. That's how my mind worked around that. So I was always very careful before I gave out information that it was my only time that I had a captive audience. Like, that was the only time that they may or may not be truly engaged in me. So I took full advantage of it. So the challenge that I would place on you is, with all these conversations, are you setting the stage before you give it away? And regardless if it's a red X, regardless if it's a circle, regardless if it's a target or even a house, getting into the habit of setting that as your stage ensures that of the 8 people that are on this list, every one of them is going to go back and say thank you. Every one of them is going to be an advocate of your brand because you did truly amplify the relationship between the referral source and the person you're talking to, which just by the byproduct becomes an amplification of your relationship with Gundy, Marcus, Juan, Robert, Andy, Francisco, Travis, and Tom. So don't look at the relationship as being, if I can't get a mortgage out of it, it's dead. Step back a little bit farther and look at the grander scheme of what you're really getting. You said it in the beginning, Kat, which was amazing. You've gotten 8 different referrals from 8 different people, and even though they're not quality, it's nice to know that people are thinking about you, right?
Exactly.
That's half the battle. The fact that these 8 people are thinking about you, now you can repay them by getting each one of those referrals, Samantha, Brandy, Alexander, Ernesto, Araceli, Manuel, Amber, and Bruce, to go back to those referral sources and say thank you. Because I guarantee every one of those realtors or every one of those referral sources is going to hear back from one of those people and ask them how it went. And if you don't make the request that they say thank you, they're going to say something different. They're going to say, yeah, I talked to her. It was good. Yeah, no problem. They're just going to fluff it off. But at least if by setting the stage, you get that verbal commitment, and that's where this whole neuro-linguistic programming kind of stuff happens. And it rolls into if somebody says that they make a commitment that they'll do it, there's a very high likelihood that they will, regardless if they plan on doing business with you or not, because that's a personal commitment that people make. So I love the progress. I love the contacts. I love the number of people that you're getting to refer you. All I would ask is that the people that you've left messages for Manuel and for Alexander and for Samantha, that when you speak to them, and the same thing with Aristo, the one that you've got a scheduled meeting.
Yep.
Aristeo. I'm going to ask that you take those 3 people, and in the event that when you speak to the 2 that you left messages for, and in your meeting with Aristeo, you don't take one step farther into becoming a loan officer until you've completed the process of being an originator.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you're up to the plate. You have the ability to hit the ball, but you're not clearly understanding what is at stake. And every pitch that goes by, you swing and miss, and you're like, okay, I'll get the next one. The point is that you need to learn from every pitch that's being thrown at you to see what you need to work on. And every one of these conversations is a chance to amplify the relationship and to expand your brand. Can you make that commitment for me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. But I love it. I love seeing the number of people that are referring you. So what are you doing that gets people to think about you? Like, what's making you top of mind for these people?
Because I'm so awesome. I'm just kidding.
I freaking love it. I love it. You are freaking awesome. That's awesome. You know what, Kat? I'm recording this call. I am going to actually use that, and I'm going to send it out to not you, but there's a few more people I'm going to send out because now you get it. Now you get it. You don't sound anything like the person that I talked to at dinner the other night.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. And you don't say it with, you're not arrogant when you say that, but you realize that you bring value.
Yeah.
Hey Bruce, what do you hear? What do you say to somebody that says, why am I top of mind? Because I'm awesome. What do you say to that?
Yes, you are.
I love it. You guys are awesome. It's the greatest way to end my week. I love it. So when you say you're awesome, Kat, what is it that you're doing that makes you so awesome?
Oh, these are all people that I have met with for coffee and introduced myself to. A couple of them are like personal friends that I've either worked with or just known.
Sure.
But like the Tom Marchant, he was one that I thought was going to be really unreachable, untouchable. He owns his own, or his family, they own the Marchant Company, and finally I got in there and did a lunch and learn kind of thing and introduced myself, and I was just me when actually John came with me, and he kind of set it up for me and introduced me to them, but then I was just, I guess you could say, raw, and told them, that I am new in the business and I just want to have an opportunity to be able to help your customers, and any opportunity that you can give me will be greatly appreciated, and your customers will come back and thank you, because you'll notice the level of service that I am able to provide is something that they're not used to in this business.
And how do you describe your level of service?
How do I describe it? As 5-star service, just from what I had experienced and my experience in the restaurant business. I always refer to it as a 5-star, just like they do for restaurants and hospitality. Just that, that they, even if I can't get them what they need, then I will be able to help them find who will be able to help them. So it's not just, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you, have a great day. My mission is to be able to put them in the right direction of, if I can't be the one that helps them, then I will help them find the person that will.
Can I give you a little bit of coaching on something?
Yes.
I hear the word I a lot. Mm-hmm. When you say I all the time, it shifts the focus away from really being of service to being more self-centered, not centered, but centric. Instead of saying I provide 5-star service, instead of saying if I can't help them, talk about it more as it benefits the realtor. Shift the attention away from you and put it more onto the agent. It's a very subtle concept, but just like the pan notes that we talked about last week, where you take the I out of it, when you take the I out of it, it really amplifies that person. So when you talk to realtors and you describe your level of service, you can describe it as being 5-star service, but then describe the benefit to the agent. Describe the benefit to the client. Describe the benefit to the overall perception of the process. Take the word I out of it, and you'll shift the conversation more towards the meaningful part of it. Try to say what you described without using the word I, and take a second to do it, but I'd love to hear a sentence or two around how you would describe your service without using the word I. It's hard.
Mm-hmm. I could say, by providing 5-star service to your clients, they will know that you have them they have you in the best interest to be able to reach the goal of finding the perfect home.
Right. We're trying to get away from leaning. Okay? We're trying to get away from making it like everybody else says. I is the worst thing that you can do to convince somebody that you care about them. So instead of describing what you do, describe the outcome of what you do through the eyes of the person or people you're impacting.
By providing 5-star service, your client will be well informed throughout the whole process of the mortgage.
And communication eliminates a large part of the headaches and the challenges that realtors and buyers and lenders experience. By focusing on communication, your relationship with your client, because you referred me, and we take communication as being the #1 goal that we have, we ensure that your relationship with your clients are at the utmost focus of everything that we do. Your value as a realtor is significantly amplified when they see you partner with a lender that cares about their business the way that you do. Your clients will see it and feel it, and they will believe and trust in the process and believe and trust in you. And one thing that everyone in this room looks for is the chance to be referable. And I believe that the only way that that's possible is by partnering with people that are referable. So by partnering with somebody like myself and my team, you stand the best chance at getting clients to call you and say thank you, call you and refer you. And isn't that what we all want? Did the message that I say kind of parallel what you were trying to say? Did it really, or was I off?
No, it did. It did. You just have such a nicer way of putting things than I do. I know it'll come.
Yeah, it totally will come. The reality for what we're doing, though, is it's little things. You're starting to believe in the value that you have. You're starting to see the value of what it means to not lean. You're starting to articulate in your way what your value is. This little technique is just learning a little bit more. It's like going from being a freshman to a junior, and then we'll get you to we'll get you from a freshman to a sophomore to a junior. It's that evolution of now the next time when you speak, you're going to learn that if I don't say the word I have to make it more about somebody else. And by making it more about somebody else, you take the attention and the self-centric conversation off of you, and you make other people feel good because you're providing them with clarity around what they feel. Bruce, can you see how this works?
Absolutely.
So my challenge for you is in the 3 conversations, or even because it applies with your clients. Don't use the word I. Make it all about them. Communicate the value of what you do, not by you doing it, but what it does for them. Always talk in the sense of what is in it for them. What is in it for them? The reason we as loan officers fail in our relationships is because we always tend to lean and make it all about us. And people are sick of it because everybody goes out there and just spews that neediness. I want you guys to articulate the value of what you do based on the results that you get and what the outcome is between the realtor and the client. And by default, when you talk like that, what do you know that the realtor thinks? That you can get them what they want without even having to say it, right?
Yep.
Was that helpful?
Yes.
Okay. So you have a couple calls that I'm sure you're going to have follow-ups with, and I'm sure you're going to have a couple clients you're going to meet with, but please take that Aristio meeting and really make a point of communicating that value through the eyes of Robert. It'll be tricky, but I want you to really put some effort into it. Not even having to, let me rephrase that. I just want you to be conscious of it. You know, I took my degree in college was public relations and business management, and I had to take a lot of public speaking classes. And believe it or not, I still get nervous when I speak in public. It's like butterflies. And I remember my drama teacher telling me that every time you say the word and every time you say the word but, and every time you say the word and, people stop. And when they hear that, it's almost like there's a disconnect. So I started realizing how many times I say in a conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm very cognizant of the word try or hope or things that, you know, are very, what I consider to be very weak words. When you're cognizant of what you say, you're more aware of what your audience is receiving. And that's really what I want you guys to start kind of playing into, because you have the right mindset. Now let's polish it up a little bit, and so when you open your mouth and speak, let's make it really impactful. Let's get your audience to really recognize that you are a true professional, that you are an amazing consultant. And it all starts with how you communicate and what you communicate. So there's your food for thought for the weekend, Kat.
Got it.
Got it. Mr. Rice, what's up, brother?
How you doing?
I'm great, man. Do you guys like these classes? I mean, do you guys like taking your Fridays and spending an hour with me or so?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what? Of the classes that I teach that are all in different stages, I really do enjoy hanging out with you guys on Fridays. There's just something about where this all started and where it's come to. Can you guys remember the very first couple conversations? You guys must have thought I was crazy.
Not crazy. That's not the right word.
Come on, Bruce. Okay, maybe crazy is not the word, but there was some word that you were thinking of that's not the word that you'd use today.
Yeah, I think for me the word was probably aggressive, which was not a bad thing. It's just,
I know.
You know, from where I was, and we've talked about it. It's, you know, I was at a place where I had very little, if any, confidence because of a lack of information, knowledge of this industry, and you've taken me out of that, helping me realize that all that knowledge is not necessarily that as important as I was making it.
Right.
That comes with that comes with time and experience, and you know, we're coming full circle now. So yeah.
Yep. Aggressive, I like it. I mean, I don't like it, but I get it.
Well, yeah. Confident would be a good word too.
Yeah. It's funny. I look back at how our conversations originally started and where we're at today, and I wonder in your minds and in your perspective, what you've seen as been, you know, the evolution of our relationship. You know, I think it's fun to kind of go back and reminisce a little bit and say, you know, I remember the words and the conversations that we've had, and sometimes we kind of go back to them back and forth, and there's these moments where, Bruce, you've said in the past, like you have these aha moments, and I'm always curious how those aha moments come to play, because I don't really have this, you know, this isn't mapped out, like this isn't like a curriculum. So I always just get on the phone and we have these dialogues, and I try to, I really work towards getting you guys, you know, the most out of the call. And when you say you have an aha moment, I kind of step out and go, all right, how did I make that happen? Like, I want to know how to orchestrate it so it becomes more consistent, because with the other coaching calls that I place, it's always, you know, it's always hit or miss sometimes.
I think something you can take away from this, and I'll relate it back to what I did for a number of years. I coached my granddaughter's soccer teams for about 6 years. And it was starting out when she was about 6 years old. And coaching 6-year-old girls is like herding cats. And
I've done it. I've done it.
And if they check out, Yeah, if they check out, they check out all the way. But it was
Oh,
always
man.
interesting to me that one of the last couple games of the season, something would happen. They'd make a play, they'd do something, communicate, and I'm thinking they were listening.
Right,
They were
right,
paying attention.
right,
You couldn't tell through the
right.
season, and I think
But
that's
how do you harness that, right? How do you
right.
get that to be the impact that you have every time you open your mouth? And I know that doesn't happen. So,
So anyway, I guess that's the takeaway for you today. We are paying attention and listening, and we are taking bits and pieces every time we speak like about these these concepts and your ideas.
awesome, awesome. So what's your week been like, buddy?
It was a very interesting week. I wake up
You have an
Monday.
interesting week all the time. Every week
I
it's always interesting.
well, and I sent you my call report, and I guess the biggest takeaway this week is I took 3 applications this week.
Nice.
Oh, snap. Look at that.
And doing a little simple math, that looks like if everything comes together properly, I'm going to close about $700,000 in loans next month.
Get out of town.
How,
Serious?
how about that?
Man, that is awesome news.
So
So here's the biggest question. Let me ask you this question. Where did the loans come from?
One of them is somebody that I pre-qualified back in March, and I've stayed in touch with every month. And in fact, she even changed realtors because that was originally a realtor referral, and she changed realtors and came back to me. Another one is a cash out refi, and that's one of my BNI partners.
Yep.
And the third one is from a fraternity brother.
Awesome.
Who relocated from this side of the state to the other side of the state.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you look at these referrals and these closings that you're going to have, how hard did you have to convince them that you were the right person for them to use?
Didn't really have to convince them all that hard because I think there was an implied trust factor there, especially with the gal that was the real estate referral. She and I had several conversations. She's told me on several occasions that I make her feel comfortable.
Wow. That's what's going to keep you guys alive and kicking in this business. When you don't have to constantly get beaten up by rate watchers and rate shoppers and these tire kickers constantly day in and day out. I mean, I think the average life expectancy of a loan officer on average is probably less than 2 or 3 years. And it largely is due in part to the constant abuse that they take and the constant devaluing that they feel every time they get on the phone, and to pick up the phone and actually be on cue and be present and just continue to sell. It's amazing how you can have 3 amazing relationships that turn into $700,000 in loan volume, and people look at you and go, I need your help. It isn't a matter of, well, I'm considering you and 4 other people. It's, I need your help. Now, you have to be competitive, obviously. You have to know what you're doing. But your skills at being an originator pave the way for your technique as a loan officer to be so much easier when you don't have to constantly answer questions and you're not constantly bombarded. Now, it doesn't happen all the time. Denise has got a file right now. I told you guys about the client that I met with that referred her a $400,000 loan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this guy, the referral, ended up being just the most analytical, anal, over-the-top, just ridiculously complicated person that she swears she's ever worked with. Now, I don't know if that's a result of me not doing the initial presentation or if it's a result of this guy's personality. I don't have an answer. What I do know that is that you will always run across people like that will always challenge you and really make you wonder if this is the right person for you to work with. And I had another client down in Florida who had a loan that basically the loan was clear to close, and the guy called him up and said, guaranteed rate is offering me up 0.3% interest rate. And he wanted him to match it. It was going to cost him a lot of money to do it. He had to cut it loose. And I asked him this question. I said, tell me a little bit about the client. I said, did you meet with him face to face? He said, no. Did you talk to him over the phone? Yeah. Did you talk to him during normal business hours? No, it was only between 7 and 9 o'clock at night. How many times did he ask you to change your fees and reduce your fees and to ask for a better interest rate? He says we had that conversation at least once every couple days because he was an attorney. I said, here's the most important question. Did you set the stage with him in the very beginning? He's like, no, because I never met him. Aha. You could spend months, weeks working with a client, and if you don't set the stage appropriately, they don't see your value as being anything other than a servant. They don't see your value as being anything other than just a commodity. They don't see your value as being anything other than somebody who's comparable to a guaranteed rate or a credit union or a bank. I don't want to be viewed that way, and I know you guys don't either. Please make sure that when you talk to your clients, you do not deviate away from the process that you know is necessary to continue to expand your brand. There is no shortcut in setting the stage. There is no shortcut in getting people to see your value. But when you don't see your value, how are they supposed to see it? I think I said that in one of the very first conversations that we had. How is anybody else supposed to know who you are if you don't know who you are? As it relates to business and interaction with our clients and the audience that we talk to, Kat had summed up. Why do they think about you? Because I'm awesome. And that truly is the answer. But your awesomeness has to be communicated in a way that makes people sit up and listen. Your value to them is honoring them by telling them why you do what you do. How good of a doctor do you think you'd find if you called them up and asked them to prescribe something for you over the telephone based on your own self-diagnosis? Would you really believe that? Would you really believe that doctor?
Of course not.
The doctors, every physician has a process. Every attorney that I've ever met has a process. Ugh. Every financial planner that I've met with has a process. So why aren't we committed to a process? Meaning process in the sense of getting you to a place where they can actually be the professional that you need them to be. My financial planner meets with me twice a year. I've been doing that for 10 years. The attorneys that I met with during, I went through some real estate issues with some rental properties. The attorneys that I know all have a process. When you talk to your clients on the telephone, your number one goal is to ensure, you have to ensure that by the time the call is over with, you're getting, at the very least, them going back to the person and saying thank you. So you approach it with, this is all I care about. By me being this honest and me being this vulnerable, I believe that you'll come back to me because I'm being a consultant, which is what you truly are looking for. But in the event that this conversation never goes a day past this, I need to ensure that you go back to that referral source and say thank you, because regardless of this interaction turning into a monetary reward or it just turns into a conversation, you have to make sure that every at-bat you're paying close attention to the impact that it has on tomorrow. That's what I believe. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see that?
Absolutely.
Every conversation is a chance to expand your brand and to help them. But make sure you're helping them with a request. And the request is so much more meaningful when you set the stage for it in the beginning. So 3 applications, Bruce. Okay, buddy. So your November or your December is going to be pretty solid?
Like I say, my December, unless some terrible things happen, it should be as close to $700,000, month.
Okay, fantastic.
The five transactions we've been talking about.
Kat, you keep on doing what you're doing with these people that are keeping you top of mind, and keep believing that you're awesome, and keep telling everybody that you're awesome in your own way. And pretty soon, by the end of this month, you're going to have a lead tracker that's going to have north of 20 referrals on it.
Yes, sir.
You have to keep plugging away on those calls and contacts and interactions. So congratulate both of you guys. What a great way to end the week. I'm proud of both of you. That's it. That's my soapbox for today. Anything else you guys want to share?
Yeah, we keep doing this kind of stuff. We're going to turn into pretty good professionals in this business.
At some point, you guys are not going to. At some point, you guys aren't going to want to talk to me anymore. That's my greatest fear.
Doubt it.
My greatest fear is at some point you're going to go, Doug, I don't need you anymore. And you're going to be like, all right. Because I've actually seen some of the LOs that I've talked to. I talk to them, but it's not like this kind of formal, which ultimately is my #1 dream, is to have you guys so self-sufficient that you guys are able to provide what you want to your families in your life. And if what I teach you gets you there in a shorter time frame than I had to go through, then that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Excellent.
Awesome, guys. Have a great weekend with your families. I will be back to the office on Wednesday, and I'll be Thursday. So most of my classes next week are going to be canceled, and I will chat with you guys next Friday. Keep up the good work.
Safe travels.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye.